girl Jenny, and today is going to be a different kind of video. It might be a little on the longer side because I actually wrote out what I wanted to say. I mean, I've got 3 pages because this is serious. This is like real business. I just wanted to make a video on why I'm kind of upset with the show Jane the Virgin. Mostly the writers. So I know it's kind of weird. I mean, it's just a TV show, but I like to emotionally invest myself into TV shows and movies. And Jane the Virgin was one of my favorite shows until the last season, which isn't even finished, but I'm done watching. I'm going to be explaining to you guys why I've been Team Michael since the very beginning. I mean, just as a person, and even with Jane, I've always been Team Michael. First, these are my opinions. I just won't budge. I understand why people are Team Rafael, and I get it. But personally, I'm Team Michael. I want to acknowledge that yes, Michael has his flaws, especially at the beginning of Jane the Virgin, the show itself. Michael honestly grew a lot within the first 2 seasons, and he instantly became one of my favorite parts of the show. I'm just upset about the endgame for many reasons. A lot of it has to do with Rafael. I'll give you guys the main reason, okay? But first, let me go over the rest. I want to acknowledge that I do know that Rafael has matured and has grown. But the thing is there's an underlying issue in the foundation of his character that honestly keeps coming back up time and time again. And I truly just don't think that he's meant to be with Jane. I do believe that having his own family with Jane and Mateo, or Petra with the girls, has helped him become a better person, and through spending time in prison as well. But I still think that he's got a lot of underlying issues that he really doesn't want to tap into. I understand that he's been through a lot of pain and hurt with his family, his obviously adoptive family, Luisa, this whole Sin Rostro thing, the Marbella, Petra, Jane. I just honestly think that like he needs to step away and just focus on himself and hopefully find someone that honestly deserves to be with him, because he's always someone's second choice, and that takes a big mental toll, and I don't think it's helped him grow any further because he's always been that second choice. And these were the immediate Rafael red flags that I noticed as soon as Michael came back from the dead. So first big one was the fact that he did not let Jane process her feelings. What she's feeling is valid. I mean, her husband, her real husband, just came back from the dead. Can you imagine the emotional and mental toll that's going to take on her? Let her process it. And I just didn't like that he tried pushing and demanding her to send in those divorce papers so they can move on with their lives and put a ring on her finger. These tactics are manipulative, and honestly just guilting someone into such a big commitment is a big no. She has to do it willingly, but he was just pushing it onto her, and that's not the way that Jane is as a person. And if he really was ready for marriage with Jane, he should have been more secure in the fact that she would come back to him even if he let her process her feelings. Obviously, like he said, he knew that Jane needed to explore those feelings, but he didn't really want her to. But if you're going to make this big of a commitment, there's trust and security in a relationship. And the fact that he couldn't trust her during such a pivotal time in their relationship just says a lot about his character and how he views Jane as kind of a fleeting moment. Another thing from that night is that he kicked Jane out in the middle of the night. No good man would ever kick out anyone, especially the woman he claims to love, in the middle of the night. You just don't. Especially in front of your child. You just don't, period. That's it. Like, so that's just a really rash way of dealing with things, but honestly that is the Rafael way to do things. Another big one was Rafael was never really supportive of her religion, which was such a big part of her life. I mean, it's literally Jane the Virgin. He wasn't really supportive also of the choices she made regarding her religion. When Jane told Rafael he needed a drink to cope with this issue of her not wanting to have sex until marriage. But this is the biggest problem I have with the Rafael endgame. My biggest problem is Jane. I am extremely disappointed in the writers, and I'm gonna read this because I tried wording it. So I'm extremely disappointed in the writers for allowing Jane to beg and chase after Rafael at this age of 30, and after all that she's been through, she should not be chasing Rafael. And as a Latina, I was so excited and inspired to see such an empowered and confident, educated, and fierce Latina on TV, only for the writers to completely destroy the progress and character development that Jane made throughout the seasons. Jane really stepped into herself and matured. They completely took that away from her by making her chase such a toxic relationship. And I do believe that Jane and Rafael could work for a short period of time, because I don't think they can sustain a long, healthy relationship, especially a marriage. I mean, they have such an impressionable audience, and yes, it's just TV, but they're reinforcing and supporting a toxic relationship, and that's my biggest issue. My biggest issue is them supporting this kind of relationship when it's not right. Now that I've got all of that out of the way, I want to say that I've been Team Michael since the very beginning. So back to Michael, because that's the part that I care about the most. Aside from Jane, but at this point I'm mad at her. So after spending some time with Jane, Michael knew that he had to mature himself, and he really educated himself on becoming a better person, not just for Jane, but for himself, his career, his life, everything in general. He learned about feminism and what it meant to Jane. He learned about her religion and what it meant to her, her family, and just all of her beliefs and values and what they stood for her. He really learned, and he didn't always agree to it, but he did support her. He also wanted to end up supporting Jane and Mateo. Was he opposed to Mateo at first? Yes, but he got over himself and he realized that Mateo was something that Jane wanted. Yes, it was completely unexpected, but she wanted Mateo, and he accepted the fact that Mateo was going to be a part of his life, her life, their life. First was the kidnapping of Mateo. Michael risked his career to get Mateo back for the family, and you wouldn't do that if you didn't love the kid, or obviously he did it for Jane too, but he could have easily just disregarded it and started a life with Jane. Also, this is something that gets forgotten about, but he defended Mateo and Jane when he and Jane were at dinner with his parents, and they were really opposed to Michael taking in someone else's kid.
Enough. This is not some other guy's kid. This is Mateo, and I love him, and I love Jane.
So he did really want to step into this role of being a part of Mateo's life. He also wanted more responsibility with Mateo.
Little things, like you didn't ask me to watch him, and you kept saying that I was babysitting.
Oh, but I didn't mean it like that.
I know. It's just, I want to be more than that.
Alright guys, we're almost done. There's so much more, but I tried to make a concise list. One of the funniest things that showed that Michael and Mateo loved each other was the fact that Mateo's first word was daddy, and he said it to Michael. In front of Rafael, he said daddy to Michael, and I think that's one of the biggest and funniest moments in the show. Aside from Mateo, here are some reasons why I stan Michael. He's not into the toxic machismo. He ain't about that life, and I'm so happy and proud that he's not. He learned to be a part of the family and establish relationships with them. #Progelios. I think that's amazing. He helped Alba, Jane's abuela, from getting deported and didn't even want to take credit for it. I mean, he even told Zoe, hey, don't tell Jane I did it. He patiently waited till marriage for sex.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait till we're married then.
He always knew what was wrong with Jane. I mean, always, because like he said, he speaks sad Jane, and he's always wanting to comfort her. even when he himself is hurting. And when Rafael and Jane broke up, Michael's first reaction was, "Are you okay?" And I think that's such an important scene and moment in the show, because it shows that he puts her before he puts himself, and it just shows that he truly cares about how she's feeling. And one of my favorite parts was,
Michael, te tomo a ti, Jane, como mi esposa. Prometo serte fiel en lo prospero y en lo adverso, en la salud y en la enfermedad. Y respetarte todos los días de mi vida, o hasta que la muerte nos separe.
so I'm gonna link down a thread that I made on Twitter regarding my love for Michael and Jane, and also if I can get a screen recording of it, I will import it in here somewhere while I read this. So this is a thread I made on July 8th of 2018. So this is how I started it. If you follow or know me, then you're familiar with my Jane the Virgin obsession. I especially love being #Team Michael. With that being said, I am not ashamed of the following thread because I love Michael as an individual character and the idea of Jane and Michael, aka true love. So Michael and Rogelio's bromance is incredible. Michael is dorky and silly. Everyone needs someone like him in their life. Michael has always been there for Jane. I mean, always there, because to Michael, he is her everything, his everything. You can see that he truly loves Jane just by the way he looks at her, the little twinkle in his eyes, and Jane loves him so much. Questionable in this last season, but okay. Although it's hard for anyone, they were honest with each other. And when life got in the way, he always had hope for him and Jane. And in this little part of the thread, he says, "Ooh, tell me it's not too late." Sorry. He never wanted to lose Jane, and she always knew in her heart that he was the one. And this is one thing that kind of made me mad when she went to go talk to Rafael, saying that it's you are my now, you are my tomorrow, you are my forever, because this is the exact same thing that she said to Michael, but worded differently. She was like, "It's you, it's always been you. So, girl, get it together, because it's Michael." And like I said before, he loves her so much that he worked with Alba, her grandma, to learn his vows in Spanish. And this is one of my favorite part, because it says, "O hasta que la muerte nos separe," and well, he's not actually dead, so please, long live Jane and Michael. And this is one of my favorites. "I love you because you're my best friend, and I want to grow old with you, and right now I am confused about every single thing in my life except you." So with that, I really hope for a Michael endgame, but we're not gonna get that. But I'm just happy that I'm not supporting a toxic relationship by being on Rafael's team. He's been given the short end of the stick so many times, and it's just not fair. I mean, I feel like over the last few episodes, they barely touched upon the fact that he was kidnapped and tortured and deprived of his memories for years. And they're not really doing or saying much about it. So they're focusing on how Rafael is hurt, and I get it, but Michael completely lost everything. So I think that's just not fair. I'm sorry if things are a little different. My camera stopped recording at some point and I didn't notice, which I should have, because I have a little viewfinder with me and I still didn't pay attention. Anyway, like I was saying, I think I pretty much covered everything. It was basically me just finishing up saying that I'm extremely disappointed in the writers for destroying such a beautiful relationship that they had worked so hard to build just for this Rafael endgame. But regardless, I am such a proud Team Michael fan that no matter what they do, I think they're wrong, but I'm just really happy that Michael is back, and he will find happiness even if it's not with Jane, because he's a wonderful human being and he deserves it, and he will find it. Whether it's in Florida or Montana, he will find it. So yes, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know if you guys are hashtag Team Michael, because that's the right team to be on. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye!